This is Conservative to America. I'm your host, Cole Holcomb, bringing you news commentary from the best perspective, the conservative perspective. Well, the day we have long been awaiting is here. President Trump will give his State of the Union address to Congress tonight, and he will tout his accomplishments of being the president of peace. He has lowered gas prices to a 4-year low. He has secured our southern and our northern border. He has been taking down drug dealers and dictators left and right in Central and South America, and he has been providing national security like never seen in the 21st century, just to name a few accomplishments. However, there's also a problem with the State of the Union. According to multiple polls, the majority of Americans believe that our country is headed on the wrong track. Interestingly enough, as I've talked about before on this channel, countless polls also show that the majority of our nation trusts Republicans more on issues like the economy, border security, and national security. While those numbers have been dropping in the past few months, they are still pretty solid 5 to 10 point ranges in those areas of economy, border security, and national security for Republicans. But then if they have a positive outlook on Republicans on those compared to Democrats, why is it then that they have a poor outlook? Well, that tells you just how poorly it seems that Americans think both parties are. They think, man, the Democrats really suck and the Republicans suck. That's kind of what it looks like right now in this country, and it's sad. But Americans have the right to have a poor outlook on our economy. I see President Trump, he went around in Iowa and he's done different campaign events where he touts how great the economy is. And frankly, I'm speaking from Gen Z. Gen Z doesn't feel that way. Millennials don't feel that way. Maybe some elderly people feel that way, okay? But still, though, a lot of Americans are not feeling that way, that our economy is great. He writes about it in The Art of the Deal. He writes about how you can talk about how great something is going to be for so long, but if you don't deliver the goods, people start getting mad and they start asking questions. Well, that's what's kind of starting to happen. They believed it. They trusted it. The goods haven't showed up. I believe they're coming. I do believe they're coming. They're coming soon, but they haven't seen the goods yet, so people are beginning to doubt. And they are beginning to have a poor outlook on our economy. It's not that they're beginning to have a poor outlook on our economy. Okay, guess what? Americans had a poor outlook on our economy much worse under Biden. They had a terrible outlook on our economy under Biden. Okay, it just has continued under Trump because it takes so long to get out of the mess that Biden has left us in. But Americans, they have every right to have a poor outlook on our economy with what we've seen come to fruition underneath a Trump administration. However, the golden age is dawning. I believe we will finally see it come to fruition before the end of the year, and hopefully before mid-August. I've talked about it on this show. I think that it needs to happen before September, preferably July, but it needs to happen by then in order for Republicans to keep Congress. If Republicans want to keep Congress, the golden age practically needs to come around July or August, mid-August. The Trump tax cuts need to be felt by then. The big, beautiful bill needs to be felt by then. And I think that there is a very good chance that it will. I think there's a very good chance the effects of the big, beautiful bill won't just be felt by August, but they will be felt by July. I believe that they'll be here in time for America's 250th anniversary. And I believe that by September, Americans will have a positive outlook on our economy. If this happens the way I believe it will, and the way that so many Republicans are hoping it will, I believe the GOP should have no problem winning the 2026 midterms, unless, of course, we have like another summer of love, like what happened in 2020. But even then, though, I think that would still alienate voters from the Democrats, because they'd be like, no, we don't want crime in our streets, okay? But if there was some big social issue that came up, like, in all honesty, I look at it and I think Roe v. Wade, looking back on 2022, likely Roe v. Wade was probably why Republicans did poorly, because there was a big social issue that went against Republicans. I don't see any social issue right now that Democrats, like back in 2022 and 2021, in early 2022, you could say, okay, maybe Roe v. Wade's going to get overturned. And if or when that happens, there is a very, very solid and good chance that Republicans might have some trouble in the midterms with that. Guess what? Republicans still won the midterms that year, but because of how bad that social issue was for Republicans, they didn't win in big numbers. Also, there's the argument that at that time, President Trump was not as popular as what he is today, or as what he was in 2023 or 2024. At that time, it was probably outside of 2021. I think that maybe even 2022, that could have been the ultimate Trump low year. Everybody that he endorsed, they lost. It was a sad year for Republicans, 2022. It was a poor showing for Republicans, but that's the past. That's came and gone. Now we're at 2026. And it's, will Democrats be able to pull off this huge blue tsunami? Will they be able to pull off a huge blue wave? I don't think it's going to happen. I think possibly they could win the House by maybe 10 seats. I don't see them winning it by 50. Unless something terrible happens and Americans just decide up overnight to hate Donald Trump and hate the Republican Party and something big changes in our country. But right now, as I'm looking at it, I don't see a blue wave or a blue tsunami. I see maybe a blue ripple at most. I think it's more likely that there's a blue ripple than what I do think there's a red ripple or a red wave or Republicans win both houses. I think it's likely that Democrats that they might win in the midterms. I think that you could if I was a betting man, I'd probably bet on them, the state of how everything is right now. But I think that stuff could all change come July or come, August or September or even October. So I'm not necessarily going to start calling elections right now. I mean, yeah, of course, I do some videos where I'm like, this is the state of it right now. But we really don't know until we can make solid guesses starting in around September of how the election's going to go. And come September, I assure you that's practically what this channel is going to be. It's going to be projections of what I think that we might see ahead in the 2026 midterms. Hopefully it is a Republican midterm. Another way, of course, if the big beautiful bill if Americans were to feel the effects of the big beautiful bill in our economy were to turn around outside of social issues, of course, mass voter fraud. Okay? Well, speaking of voter fraud, the SAVE Act. Let's talk about the SAVE Act. House getting held up in the Senate. Of course, it passed the House. That's wonderful news. I am so happy about that. But it's getting held up in the Senate. Sad. But former Senate Majority Leader, incumbent Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, has been appearing to stall the vote for the SAVE Act, which would require all American citizens to show photo ID in order to vote in federal elections. Congressman Tim Burchett has been going after him for it. And of course, Senator Mitch McConnell has been mad at Trump, and he's like, this last year is going to be like, how can I ruin President Trump's agenda? Mitch McConnell has, for some reason, a thorn in his side, because he's probably the establishment. He is the establishment. That's the reason why he has a thorn in his side. But he has beef with President Trump. I mean, I don't think it should be there. Why can't it not just be that you could just say, I love this country, you love this country, we want to see free and fair elections, we want a free and fair economy? Why can't it just be that just all Republicans can join together and, agree? But, we can't all just stand around the fire and sing Kumbaya. It's not how American politics works, sadly. But also there's a good reason for it. And sometimes I could say not so sadly. But as I said, Mitch McConnell has been appearing to stall the vote. The SAVE Act, it will require Americans to show photo ID in order to vote in federal elections. It's not a crazy idea either, okay? It's not like Republicans decided one day, hey, you know something? We have this wonderful idea. We're going to keep all these people from voting by creating photo ID. And it's not like millions of Americans hate it, okay? 84, well, I guess you could say, yes, millions of Americans hate it, but not in huge numbers. It's not like 100 or 300 million Americans hate it, okay? It's not like even half of America hates it, okay? 84% of Americans, and I believe this poll is according to the New York Times, but there's countless polls. CNN has polls on it, but 84% of Americans Democrats and Republicans, independents, everybody, support showing photo ID to vote. They don't think it's a crazy idea. You know why they don't think it's a crazy idea? It's because most Americans are smart. Most Americans, they have brains that work. They're logistical. Okay, they're like, I have to show a photo ID to buy a beer. You got to show a photo ID. Everybody, you have to show a photo ID to get a beer. Okay, you have to show a photo ID to get on a plane, to pick up your prescription, to check into a hotel room. You have to have a photo ID to open a bank account. Heck, you even have to have a photo ID to shovel snow in Mom Donnie's New York City. And commie Mom Donnie's New York City. And don't even get me started on that socialist lunatic. I could do a whole show on that. As so many people have, Fox News, you can watch The Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro. So many people, they have so many shows on this. If you want to know more about commie Mom Donnie and his terrible idea over in New York City. Well, not terrible idea, but his, terrible ideas in New York City. Ideas, okay, plural. Terrible ideas, plural, New York City. You can go watch that, speaking of all of his socialist ideas. Speaking of, whatever happened to free transportation? I know a guy who went to New York City. Where's the free transportation at? Everybody's in New York City. Where's the free transportation at? There's no free transportation. Where are the free grocery stores he promised? Huh? All I'm seeing is that there's snow all over the ground, trash is everywhere, and, taxes are up. Sounds like your typical Democrat to me. But the lunatic, he doesn't support photo ID for voting. Lunatic, communist, Mom Donnie does not support photo ID for voting, but he does to shovel snow in New York City. Am I the only one that thinks that that's a little weird, a little crazy, kind of ironic, actually? It's kind of funny. But the point is, it's the fact that we are getting held up on the matter of showing photo ID is insane. The fact that we are getting held up on the matter of showing photo ID to vote is insane. It's a simple way to keep illegal aliens from voting, to keep people who shouldn't be voting from voting. It's a simple way to keep voter fraud, widespread voter fraud, a little voter fraud, small voter fraud, I don't care. As long as if it's any voter, I do care, but if it's any type of voter fraud, we need to stop it from happening. If it's as easy as saying, hey, bring a photo ID to vote. How hard is that? And then there are the Democrats who are like, well, it's racist because, black people can't get photo IDs is kind of the argument that Democrats are making. That's so racist to say that a black person can't get an ID for the sake of them just because they're black. That is so racist that the Democrats make that argument. It is, and they called the GOP the racist. That is insane. Democrats. Okay, here's another one. Speaking of Democrats being racist, so I'm going to get on this tangent. I don't necessarily have it in my show script today, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say it. Of course, Gavin Newsom from California, the governor of California, he was at a thing and he was talking to black people and he said, I got a 960 on my SAT just like you did. What is that supposed to mean? Are you saying that all black people get poor scores on their SATs? Is that like literally how racist you are? You're lumping everybody into... And then I remember back to Joe Biden say, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. This is insane, the type of stuff that Democrats push, and then they try to call Republicans the racists, okay? If anybody was trying to keep people from voting over racism, I would think it's probably be the people who make all the racist comments, the Democrats. It is insane, and I'm not going around, I'm not doing cancel culture. I'm just doing what Democrats do to Republicans. It is literally insane, the type of stuff that they push. But you want to know why Democrats don't like the idea of photo ID to vote? It's because they realize that they will have trouble winning elections when they can't commit widespread voter fraud. The Democrat Party tries to act like they are the party of democracy. They are not. They are just a bunch of despots who are currently, voice crack there. They are just a bunch of despots who are currently out of power, waiting. They're currently a bunch of despots who are currently out of power, waiting to seize and not let go, like wild dogs biting onto its prey. They're tyrants. This they are. They're tyrants who have been ousted by the American people in 2024, who are sitting around and waiting to seize power, waiting to seize onto their prey like a wild dog, and bite and hold on and not let go. Right now, Republicans are dealing with a problem whenever it comes to the SAVE Act, okay? I mean, they're always dealing with a problem over there in Congress because of the Democrats, okay? As it seems like they've been causing problems. Democrats have been causing problems up there since the 1800s, okay? But right now, Republicans are dealing with a problem with the SAVE Act. That problem is the filibuster, okay? The filibuster, of course, there are the two camps. Those who believe that the Democrats will get rid of the filibuster the next time they get in power, so we should just do away with it. And then there are those who realize that Democrats will do away with it the next time they get in power, but we shouldn't stoop to their level. Well, I tend to agree with the camp that says we should keep the filibuster. However, my opinion could change in the near future. The reason I think that, as it stands right now, I think that it would look poor on Republicans to do away with it. It would likely not help them in the polls or at the voting booths. I don't think that it is necessarily right just to say, well, they're going to do it to us, so we need to do it to them. I don't think that that's necessarily a great argument. I actually think that's kind of a poor and crappy argument to make everybody, well, I mean, I'm going to get screwed no matter what, so I might as well screw them before they screw me. I mean, it's a poor argument that the Democrats, I mean, not that the Democrats are making, that Republicans are making, we should just get rid of the filibuster. I understand why they want to get rid of it. I sympathize with them. Yeah, I want stuff to get passed. But, I mean, I think the filibuster is crucial. It's something that I think that it's crucial for the way that our government runs. Democrats are always whatever party's in power always wants to get rid of it because it's a thorn in their side. But it's a good thorn in their side. It keeps a government from being too, as you could say, I'm not going to use the term tyrannical, but from having too much hold on power. It puts a check and a balance in there. It puts checks and balances in the Senate, and that's a good thing. So I like that. And guess what? If Americans want that so bad for things to get passed like that and want the filibuster done away with so bad, okay, or want some piece of legislation passed so bad, they will elect 60 senators who will agree with that piece of legislation. So that's one of the ways that I think about it. I don't think that we should just get rid of it just for the sake of, well, they're going to screw us in the end, so we might as well get them before they do it to us. I stand firmly in the passage of Scripture of Matthew 7:12, and I understand the frustration of so many in the Republican Party, but I think, though, that we need to take this first to heart. Matthew 7:12 in the Bible says, "So in everything do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets." If we wouldn't want the Democrats to do it to us, well, I don't think that we should do it to them. I understand politics are nasty sometimes. Sometimes you got to do certain things, but I can't get behind getting rid of the filibuster. I don't think it's a good idea. But in all of that, I hope the SAVE Act gets passed, and I still do. I do believe that it's going to get passed, even with some of the stuff that gets held up right now. I do believe that it will get passed. I think that probably, even if I disagree with them getting rid of the filibuster, if they have to, I wouldn't be surprised if they did get rid of the filibuster, in all honesty. But in closing, tonight, President Trump will be able to tout his wonderful success in the White House and how the best is yet to come, and you can take that to the bank. Let me just tell you, you ain't seen nothing yet. We are, as I said earlier, at the dawn of the golden age. The American dream will soon no longer be just a dream, but something every American can achieve. President Trump, I do believe, will continue to fight as hard as he can every day for the American people. It will soon be morning again. 250 years of greatness in this country, and we've only just begun. I'm Cole Holcomb, giving you news commentary from the best perspective, the conservative perspective, and this is Conservative to America.